I'm gonna do it again because I got to break Kevin's new record. I got to get back on the stage because this new record that Kevin got, I got to have it back, Kevin.
I've talked to him. Eddie, what the you doing? Get on stage. I don't know, man. Maybe.
But Jussie Smollett gonna keep lying until you say we don't believe you.
I don't know what records nobody broke.
Can't deny that Kevin Hart's one of the biggest comedians out there right now. But lately his name's been all over the place and not in a good way. Seems like everyone's taking shots at him, especially his fellow black comedians, and you know how brutal comedy can get, right? These guys can lift you up 1 minute and tear you down the next with just their words. So it's no wonder Kevin might be feeling a bit jittery. But why would a successful dude like Kevin be sweating bullets over some other Diane's well? Here's where Eddie Murphy steps into the picture. The man, the myth, the legend himself is apparently getting ready to shed more light about this, rumor has it. There's some real dirt hiding in Kevin's closet, and we caught a glimpse of it when Katt Williams decided to air some of it out. Earlier this year, Kevin tried to clap back, but you could see he was shaken now with Eddie and the crew supposedly gearing up to drop even more bombs. It looks like Kevin might be in for a rough ride, seems like he's not out of the woods just yet. So let's dive in now. We know Eddie Murphy is like that chill uncle at the family reunion. He's always laid back, never causing any drama. So if he's stepping into the ring to call out Kevin Hart, you know it's serious business. These guys have a mutual respect. They've even teamed up on projects like Meet Dave, but even that history isn't stopping Eddie from calling out Kevin's BS. So what's the supposed shade about the thing is there's been whispers in the wind about how Kevin climbed his way to the top from cozying up to the big shots in the industry, maybe even stepping on some toes to get ahead. And then there are even these whispers about some seriously questionable stuff he might have been involved in. I mean, Eddie's been in the game since the 90s. Man, he knows the ins and outs of this industry better than most. So he would definitely know about Kevin's supposed feelings. Also take what Katt Williams said, for example, on the Club Shay podcast. Katt straight up called Kevin an industry plant. He pointed out how quickly Kevin rose to fame, scoring a sitcom and starring in Soul Plane all within his first year in law. According to Katt, this raises eyebrows and makes Kevin's early history seem a bit like a mystery. He already had his deals when he got here. Have we heard of a comedian that came to LA and in his first year in law, he had his own sitcom on network television and had his own movie called Soul Plane that he was leading? No, we've never heard of that. Before that person or since that person, he continued saying, what do you think a plant is? Maybe people don't understand the definition of these words.
Have we heard of a comedian that came to LA and in his first year in LA, he had his own sitcom on network television and had his own movie called Soul Plane that he was leading? What do you think a plant?
Those of you who don't know about the ongoing showdown between Katt Williams and Kevin Hart, you might recall that the beef traces back to the 2008 film Fools. Gold Williams was initially set to take the lead, but his legal issues at the time forced him to pass on the gig, which involved filming Down Under in Australia. Enter Kevin Hart, who swooped in and snagged the role instead. According to the grapevine, that's where the sparks of tension between Williams and Hart first ignited. Katt didn't hold back. When it came to spilling the beans, he straight up voiced his worries about letting folks who might not be straight up truthful spin their own tales without any checks. He talked about how messed up it is that the liars out there got all the goods and rest resources, leaving the rest of us playing catch up, and he isn't buying into the idea that having all those resources means you're automatically speaking the truth. According to Katt, it's a real concern letting these shady characters run wild with our own narratives, especially when they're sitting on a mountain of resources. But Katt isn't blind to the fact that speaking out might land him in hot water. He knows folks might see him as just another bitter, jealous comedian behind his back. When asked if he feared any backlash, Williams responded, Satan can't create anything that includes blessings for his people. That's why you know what the number one job of somebody that sold their soul in Hollywood is to act like it didn't happen the whole case. Vin Hart is an industry plant. Theory goes back to a Hollywood rumor that's been circulating for quite a while. There's this talk that entertainers are kind of blackmailed into wearing a dress on screen, almost like a rite of passage before they can level up in the fame game. And it's not just Katt Williams who's been talking about this. Even Dave Chappelle has touched on it in 2006 during an appearance on Oprah. Dave spilled the tea about why he turned down a whopping $50 million deal from Comedy Central. He wasn't in it just for the money, Because as he explained, big bucks often come with some serious strings attached. Dave, being in the showbiz game since he was 14, had seen and heard stories about what happens behind the scenes. He pointed out examples like Mariah Carey landing a $100 million deal only to end up mysteriously labeled as crazy a few months later, or Martin Lawrence making it big and then suddenly waving a gun on the streets, screaming about someone trying to kill him. It's stuff. Jose's stories that had Dave cautious. When Ooper asked him about hearing these stories, Dave laid it out. He'd seen it happen before. And it always went down when a person's career was on the brink of reaching the next level. According to Dave, he was pressured to create sketches that made people laugh at him, not with him. It felt like they were asking him to put himself on blast for a paycheck. And wait, there's more to this saga. Dave Chappelle even recalled being asked to wear a dress for a movie he did. With Martin Lawrence, he walks into the trailer and sees a dress, thinking the wrong one. Turns out it's for a scene where Martin's character sneaks out of jail by dressing Chappelle as a Chappelle. Like, no, I'm not doing that. It wasn't in the discussion. They try to pressure him, saying it's a hilarious bit. But he stands his ground, saying he doesn't need a dress to be funny. The whole thing gets intense with writers, directors, and producers pushing, but Chappelle sticks to his guns. In the end, they come up with a new scene without the dress, and he's left wondering, how did you write that so fast? Dave just didn't vibe with it, not because wearing a dress is an issue on its own, but because he felt the industry was trying to corner black artists into doing whatever it took for success. They kept hounding him until they figured out he wouldn't budge. Dave revealed this whole experience was an eye-opener. It took being told to wear a dress for him to connect the dots and realize this wasn't just his struggle. Lots of other black men had been asked to do the same. Martin Lawrence rocked it in Big Mama's House. Eddie Murphy pulled it off in the Nutty Professor series, and Jamie Foxx left a mark with his unforgettable Ugly Wanda on In Living Color, then got the Wans brothers trying their hand at it with White Chicks. Oh, and we can't forget the less successful Jenna Man. In the mix of all this, Tyler Perry takes the cake with his media franchise. During this time, an upcoming Kevin would join the conversation, dropping wisdom talks left and right. Kevin was all about artists protecting their brand, setting boundaries, and not crossing certain lines. At that point, he was vibing with his personal beliefs. No dress drama in sight. When the topic of wearing a dress for a role came up, Kevin was straight up, like, nah, haven't faced that dress dilemma. Got to know your boundaries and protect your brand. He was all about steering clear of anything that could compromise his image. Kevin even mentioned turning down a request to dribble a basketball on a talk show because it would make him look foolish. It's all about protecting the brand.
I have ran into to put on the dress. I mean, you have to have boundaries. You have to have limits that you refuse.
Fans were not having it. Accusations of selling out and being fake started flying around. It was like, hold up, wasn't you just preaching about boundaries and protecting your brand, Kevin? The plot twist got fans feeling some type of way, and they called him out for doing the exact thing he said artists shouldn't do. But then Kevin Hart pulled a complete 180 on us, flipping the script from his earlier stance on wearing dresses. He initially said, no way, I'm not putting on a dress. Fast forward to when the opportunity knocked and he found the whole idea funny. Suddenly he was like, why not? I'm doing it. But here's where it gets tricky. Kevin, in defense mode, starts saying nobody forced Martin Lawrence into Big Mama's House or Tyler Perry into media or Jamie Foxx into Wanda's dress. It was a choice. According to Kevin, I was actually one of those comedians that said no, I wouldn't wear a dress. There's no way I would wear a dress. And then when proposed with the opportunity of what I felt was funny, I said, oh, it's funny, I'm going to do it. It's all about choice. Nobody makes you do anything. Nobody says this is what you got to do. It's the only way that you're going to do it. He's hitting us with the it's all about choice narrative. But then there's this counter argument floating around. People are saying it's not just a matter of choice. Kevin himself wasn't okay with the idea before the money talks began. When the cash starts rolling and suddenly integrity takes a backseat, it's like me only becomes this magical thing that makes people do stuff they swore they'd never do. And truth be told, when that paycheck comes into the picture, folks tend to reveal their true colors. Remember when Steve Harvey dropped that bomb about integrity? He straight up said, give me 10 million and I'll embarrass myself all the way to the bank. He was willing to throw his integrity out the window for a hefty paycheck. It's a harsh reality, but he put it out there.